Hey guys, how are you today? Quick rant before we dive into today's chaos. As some of you might have noticed, YouTube's algorithm has decided I'm not special anymore. Shocking, I know. So now if you don't like, comment, or do a little backflip in the algorithm's honor, this video might just vanish into the void, never to be seen again. Seriously though, even a hi or "this is wild" in the comments helps way more than you think. It tells YouTube, hey, people actually like this channel. Maybe don't hide it from everyone. That can really help push my videos out to a wider audience, not just to my subscribers. So if you enjoy these stories and want to support the channel, that's the best way to do it. Now grab a drink, get comfy, and enjoy the drama. You won't want to miss this one. I, 34 female, booked a vacation to Cyprus at an adults-only hotel. Now, don't get me wrong, I adore kids. Heck, most days I act like one. But I spent most of this summer babysitting and watching family members' kids so they could have some couples time, or just a break. So, I decided it might be nice to book a 5-star adults-only hotel where I could relax after 2 months of running after nieces, nephews, and little cousins. I managed to score a great deal, and booked a week at the Amavi Hotel in Paphos for a ridiculously low price, including flights. While setting up this trip, my cousin, let's call her Dee, and her 3 kids were staying with me, since hotels in my area were insanely overpriced, and I live in a vacation destination and a 4-minute walk from the beach. My cousin's son, let's call him Matt, overheard me telling a friend about my trip, how everything was booked and we, my boyfriend and I, were all packed. He immediately ran to his mom and asked if they could come with me. Without thinking, Dee said, "Of course we can. Your auntie will find us a great deal, and we'll all fly out together." I was dumbfounded. I pulled Dee aside and explained the deal was for an adults-only couples hotel, because I wanted to spend quality time with my boyfriend. We'd both been extremely busy with work, apartment hunting, and me babysitting kids all summer. Dee just shrugged and said, "Well, then just call the company and switch hotels. What's the problem?" I told her I wasn't switching. My hotel was part of the special deal. I even offered to help her find a family-friendly hotel and gave her options. She looked, then turned to me and said, "Wait, but if you won't be at the hotel, who will help me with the kids?" I said, "I don't know. Get a babysitter, bring your mother, discipline the kids so they behave better. Pick one." She got upset and called me rude and selfish. She claimed that since I don't have kids, I don't understand how important vacations are for parents, and that she deserved a break too. I reminded her I'd been watching her kids every day after work for the past 4 days while she was staying at my place. So she was already getting a break. Her response? "So what? I have to be with them all the time. The least you can do is help out once in a while. You're not married, you have no kids, you basically have nothing to do with your day." And this is where I may have been the AH. I told her flat out that I don't owe her anything. I was already doing her a favor by letting her and her kids stay at my place since they couldn't afford $500 a night hotels. I am not her child care. Then I asked how she expected to afford a vacation like mine when she couldn't afford a hotel in our own country, especially with 3 kids. Her answer? "You guys can just pay and I'll pay you back when I have it. I mean, you don't have kids and your boyfriend makes great money. Tell him to pay for us, he won't mind." I don't know if entitlement was on sale that day, or if there was a clearance on audacity, but I wasn't having it. I told her she must be high if she thought we were going to pay for her and 3 kids. She got upset, packed her stuff, and left to stay with my mom, as I was being a bad host. An hour later, I get a call from my mom and her mom, asking how I could kick her out at night with 3 kids. It was 6 p.m., and she left voluntarily. I explained everything, but they sided with her and told me I should just pay. I told them if they wanted her to go on vacation so badly, they could fork out the $4,000 and babysit too. Later, my mom called back after learning Dee twisted the story, claiming I was flaunting my money and vacation in front of her kids to make her look like a bad mom. For the record, I work 10 to 12-hour days and hardly have money to spare. My mom tried to keep the peace, but eventually realized I wasn't budging. Then last night, I learned from my boyfriend that after leaving, Dee actually called our travel company and tried to switch my hotel booking to a family hotel, adding a suite for her and her kids, plus business class flights. She even lied, saying I wanted to cancel my trip to spend time with her. The agent thankfully called my boyfriend to double-check. For context, my boyfriend is extremely generous, the kind of person who would literally give his coat, hat, and shoes to someone freezing in the street, and has literally lost winter. If I had asked, he probably would have paid for her vacation without hesitation. But since she was being so entitled, I refused to even bring it up. She's already raising her kids to be entitled, and I wasn't about to enable it. So, Reddit. Am I the a-hole? Absolutely not the a-hole. OP's cousin is one, though. It seems to me that OP has helped her cousin so much that she now feels entitled to OP's help. And she showed how despicable she is by going behind OP's back to change her plans. And now let's hear community's opinion. Not the a-hole. Your cousin's entitlement is off the charts. You watched her kids, let her stay at your place for free, helped her find hotel options, and she still expected you to pay thousands for her family vacation? That's not a cousin. That's a freeloader. And the fact that she went behind your back and tried to change your booking and upgrade flights without asking? That's not just entitled. That's manipulative. She's lucky you didn't cancel her attempt and block her number entirely. Okay, hear me out. You're not wrong, but the way this will blow up your family relationships long-term is intense. Your cousin is 100% in the wrong for trying to guilt trip you, freeload, and mess with your vacation. But your mom and aunt siding with her shows you how deep the dysfunction runs. This isn't about a vacation anymore. It's about boundaries. If you don't set them now, you'll be babysitting kids on every future trip and financing family holidays you never agreed to. Hold firm, but expect fallout. Not the a-hole. Let me get this straight. You babysat her kids all summer. You housed her family for free. You offered to help her find affordable alternatives. She still demanded you pay for her, her 3 kids, and possibly first-class upgrades? Nope, absolutely not. People like Dee Dee bank on your guilt, but you don't owe her your vacation, your money, or your sanity. The audacity to call your travel agent and try to hijack your trip should be the final straw. Block her.
Children in our country sometimes sell stuff for their schools to fund school trips, etc. I think many countries do that, so I don't need to explain more. Usually it's around big holidays, etc. We have a Christmas lottery, something many schools sell. My boyfriend and I have been together for 13 years, and we are happily child-free. We have good incomes and a comfortable living. My boyfriend's sister and her husband also have good incomes and comfortable living, but I feel sometimes that she always tries to hint that we make more than we spend because we don't have children. No duh, Sherlock. And that maybe we should give more presents and stuff to her 2 sons. I don't agree. I put around 30 to 60 euros on a present, and whether it's good or bad, I don't care. I come from money. Well, my parents had good jobs. But we learned from a young age that it's never the value of the present, and I had the happiest upbringing. Anyway, the sons get a couple of dozen or more lotteries each to sell, and the idea is to go around the neighborhood, etc. But they're too lazy, and they just make the family buy everything, and since my boyfriend and I have nothing important to spend money on, we end up buying the majority of the tickets. Around 200 to 300 euros worth each occasion. It pissed me off a bit in the beginning, but my boyfriend seemed uncomfortable saying no, and I hate making him uncomfortable, so I said oh well. This Christmas I won about 150,000 euros. I was so happy because I never win stuff. When the nephews heard this, they wanted their ticket back. I was shocked and said duck no. They called me like 50 times, and my boyfriend's sister and her son showed up next morning to talk, then argue, then fight me. Then she asked to at least split it 50-50 with them, but I wouldn't budge. All 3 left in tears saying they will take me to court. My boyfriend wants me to split or I'm being an a-hole. I usually donate 20% of my bonuses, inheritance, or any big chunk of money I get to charity. I thought I would do that and buy the boys the bicycles they were saving for. Cost around 2,500 each. I don't know why. But now I won't even buy them the bicycles. Am I the a-hole? Edit. My boyfriend is the one who pays for the tickets. He then splits the tickets. The winning ticket was one of mine. Not the a-hole. If anyone else, more specifically a stranger, had gotten that winning ticket and not you, they probably never would have asked them to split the money because that would be rude. But since it's their uncle's girlfriend, then apparently all of that goes out the door. You bought the tickets. The transaction was finished, so they were 100% your tickets and not theirs, so I don't see why you should have to share. Not the a-hole. Seems like over 13 years you've spent thousands on these lottery tickets, plus gifts. You've been more than generous. They have no right to the winnings, any more than the clerk at a corner shop who sells a winning ticket. As for the ultra-expensive bikes, there's no reason they need them. If they were even considering such a purchase, they are not hurting financially. I'd suspect you were told about their saving up before Christmas in hopes you'd give them a significant cash gift towards the bikes, regardless of what they spend on it. And this is your first lesson as a somewhat big lotto owner. Never tell what you earned, or even if you earned, to anyone. I read once on Reddit that earning big, like millions, increases the chances of violent death or bankruptcy exponentially. Of course, this is not exactly your situation, but be careful still. People get crazy over less money, not the a-hole. Update. Many people here told me that I have a boyfriend problem. I never thought I had, to be honest. We are mostly happy and our fights are always about stupid stuff. Anyway, I told him that we needed to talk. I told him that it hurt me that he stood there, and even if he didn't support a screaming sister and children in our own home, he showed little support to me, trying to defuse the situation by asking me to compromise. For me, some things are just right or wrong. There's no place for compromise. I felt that situation was. I explained it to him and he agreed. I told him that I don't want to take the role of the rich aunt who spoils her relatives' children. This has been a thing, like people, especially my boyfriend's sister, would easily tell their children, "Oh, go ask uncle for this instead of us. He doesn't have children, he can afford it," when it comes to more expensive things. Same thing with the tickets. We ended up buying 20 out of the 24 they were supposed to be selling. Now I told him that we should stop. None of our relatives want for money, and nobody is entitled to ours. I don't want to buy tickets. I don't want to spoil others' children. I'm not the rich childless aunt. He said he agrees with me. About the taking me to court, it was just a bluff. She can't do anything about it. I knew it, but I asked my neighbor who's a judge, and she just laughed. I wasn't the one to tell about our winning. My boyfriend did. He is painfully naive when it comes to these things. He thought his nephews would be happy to have sold a winning ticket. I haven't told the children about the bikes. I just knew they were saving for expensive bikes and thought that I could get them instead. I won't be doing it. Let them save for their dream bikes. Me, 24 male, and my cousin, 28 female, have always been pretty close, but I think she sometimes doesn't think through things enough. She has a habit of making bad financial decisions and needing family, mainly me, to help her out. She's not absolutely terrible with money or anything, but she doesn't budget anything and just trusts that she'll find a way to make it work, despite having run out of money for the rest of the month after a snap financial decision. A little less than 2 years ago, she announced to the family and me that she's planning on becoming a single mom within the next few years. Everyone in the family was congratulating her left and right, but as the one person who was raised by a single mom, I felt like she wasn't putting enough thought into her decision, and I warned her that having a kid is a huge financial and emotional decision that she can't take back. She accused me of not thinking she would be a good mother, and I told her that I thought she would be a great mother. She really would be, is. But that kids are expensive, and that she should really take a good long look at her budget before jumping into having a kid. She still seemed a bit annoyed with me, but agreed that kids were expensive and that she had thought it through. I didn't really believe her, but it's her life, so I let it go. About 6 months later, she announced that she was pregnant, and like a lot of parents, spent a ton of money getting everything she would need for a newborn. Noticing that almost everything she bought was for a 0 to 3 month old, I went to a thrift store and got her a bunch of baby clothes for a whole range of ages. When I gave her the clothing and told her I was able to get so much, a couple boxes full, because I got them at a thrift store, she called me disgusting and that her baby won't be wearing gross thrift store clothing. I was honestly pretty hurt, but blamed it on hormones or something and tried to let it go. Lo and behold, about 4 months after her baby was born, she basically ran out of money and came to me asking for help to pay rent. I told her she would have to find a time for me to teach her how to budget in return, and I gave her the money. She never found time to learn how to budget. The next month she came to me again, saying she had once again run out of cash and that she didn't have any money to buy her son new clothes, which he really needed. Angry that she didn't listen to me about the expense of a kid and that she turned down the free clothing I tried to give her, I told her she was on her own until she could prove that she can manage money, and she would have to start begging someone else in the family for cash. She started screaming that I was leaving her child to die, and soon after she left, I started getting angry calls from relatives about not helping a new mother. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. She wanted to be a single mom, so she's got to be one. Not the a-hole, and I am constantly amazed at how entitled some people are. And all of the people making the angry calls about you not flushing your money down the toilet for your irresponsible cousin are welcome to pay her bills. Not the a-hole. Good for you for not giving in to her entitlement. She needs some serious help. She is 4 years older than you and supposed to be a self-sufficient adult. After all, she intentionally became a single mother. Offering to help only if she worked with you to create a budget was very generous of you. The fact that she refused to do so, that shows you how she really is. Meanwhile, all the rest of the family are just mad because now she is begging them for money instead of getting it from you. Anyone who refuses thrift store clothing for an infant, that is silly. They barely wear them. I, male 30, am going straight to the point. I have a sister, female 25, whose dream was to marry a rich guy. No joke, she dreamed of marrying rich since she was 14. We live in a pretty affluent town, so it isn't an impossible dream. The logic behind this dream is that she is too lazy to get a job. Literally, she is very vocal about how tiring getting a job is. Now, into the story. My sister at the age of 20 managed to marry with a rich guy, Mark, fake name, who came from very old family money and is also a high-ranking businessman, the nicest guy I ever met. Mark had a little accident when he was a kid. Basically speaking, he literally lost his balls to a dog. So, suffice to say, he can't have kids, and my sister knew this. Long story short, after 2 years of marriage, in a beautiful summer day, my sister announced she was pregnant and tried to convince Mark that it was a miracle baby. No joke, I was there. Mark didn't buy that and demanded to know the truth. Well, turns out, my sister was having a 6-month affair with a high school sweetheart, who we are going to call Billy. Billy, 26, is the embodiment of a deadbeat. He still lived with his parents, can't keep a job for more than a few months, drinks like a fish, and smokes cigars and W like a chimney. When the miracle baby tactic didn't work, she tried the "it was a mistake" and "if you love me, you'll forgive me and take care of this kid" tactics. Suffice to say, Mark kicked her out, and since she was fully dependent on him and signed a prenup, common custom on Mark's family, she was left with nothing. Cut to now. My niece, the sweetest girl I ever met, is almost 2 years old and lives with me, since my sister and Billy were considered unfit to be parents, and I didn't want my niece to go to foster care. My sister is trapped in a dead-end job and almost unable to sustain herself. Billy is in jail for D-dealing. My sister had been begging me for help with the bills and rent, and I firmly refuse, because her stupidity isn't my problem. She also begged me to let my niece live with her. I am also not doing this, because my sister lives in a very bad neighborhood. My sister has supervised visitations, which I pick her up to attend the visitations, but I am also the one deciding where the visitation were to happen, and they are either at my house or a public place. And since I am still friends with Mark, who loves my niece and took to her to be the cool uncle, she also begs me to help her to reconcile with him, which I also refuse. My entire family calls me cruel for doing this, and they tell me to at least give some help to my sister, and I always tell them that it is not my responsibility to help my sister to pay for her own stupidity, and now she has to get out of this stuff herself. Because my only responsibility is my niece, who is innocent in all of this, and if they are so concerned about my sister, they can pull their money together and help her. But for them, this is not their problem, since she is my sister. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your sister really lacks self-responsibility. All her actions have attributed to her hardship in life. Protect your niece from her biological mother's terrible decision-making. Not the a-hole. Child's needs should come first. A child needs stability and care. That should be your objective. Your sister is at a point in her life in which any help you give her will further enable her. Not the a-hole. Your sister sounds like a people user. Save that money and spend it on your niece. Your sister can support herself at least, especially if she's requesting her daughter back. She needs to feel the price of her poor decisions. Throwaway. I have a daughter who just turned 17 last Friday. She has had this boyfriend since freshman year, and she is now a junior. My husband and I have nothing against the kid. He's not the brightest bulb in my opinion, but he's a decent kid and he makes my daughter happy and treats her with respect, which is hard to find at this age. Well, he proposed to her during her birthday dinner with him. Ring and all. I'm not mad. I think it's puppy love, and I think this will probably fade away and not work out the way she's thinking it will. You want to be engaged and maybe get married after or during college. Okay, sure. See if your relationship can handle itself outside of high school. I know there's high school sweethearts out there and it's worked. Most of the time, though, it hasn't. The problem started when she expected to be treated like an engaged person. She wants to plan a small wedding and get married as soon as she turns 18, which is 1 year away. I told her this is a ridiculous notion and that she will not be planning a wedding. She needs to focus on herself and her educational goals and secure college. After that, have at it. Second problem. Word has gotten around in school that they're engaged. This is not typical for a high school couple to get engaged during their junior year. A couple of teachers got together and reached out to me about this and wanted to make sure everything is okay. They called it a distraction. Third problem, probably the biggest. My daughter confided in her older sister, 21, that she will not be using condoms anymore because they're engaged and in a closed relationship, and it's going to be more intimate and feel better for them. She is on the pill and has been before she was S-active for cramps. But I know she does not take it religiously, and only when or if she remembers. We had a huge discussion about this when she became S-active and got her condoms, because I told her that the pill isn't 100% and it decreases drastically with error. Her older sister is as disturbed as we are about this and told me. They have no money for a wedding and wouldn't even be able to afford moving in together by next year. My daughter doesn't work at all, and her boyfriend has a part-time minimum wage job. I don't think this will last, but the ramifications of it will last a lifetime. We have sat her down and told her that she is on a dangerous path and that we will not recognize her engagement. We will not talk about it, contribute anything to it, or plan for anything. That she is not to focus on it, and that she needs to focus on school and being a teenager. I told her if I hear one more word about engagement, that I will insist she return the ring to him, and told her I will not hesitate to get his parents involved before they both ruin their lives. She is beyond livid with my husband and I, as well as her sister, but she won't listen to reason. We usually have an honest and open relationship, but she hasn't spoken much to us at all. Edit. I mentioned that her father and I won't contribute because she asked for financial help with a small wedding. We declined and told her we would gladly pay after college if she wanted to wait. We weren't angry with her. Edit. She refuses to be on a more permanent birth control like the implant or Depo. She had a bad experience with Depo and has written off other birth controls because of the side effects. The implant and copper IUD were not recommended to her because of her heavy and cramping periods. I asked her to try the patch for a month and she won't. She's on the pill and she tolerates it because of her periods. This is why we had an argument with condoms. We were open with her being S-active and promised to always pay for condoms as long as she always used one. Not the a-hole. I would go a bit further and explain that you can't stop her from getting married once she's 18, but getting married is an action of an adult, along with things like having a baby, living together, etc., in my book. And if she wants to get married when she turns 18, she needs to start figuring out how she'll support herself, because you aren't going to house her, buy her food, pay for her car insurance, or pay her phone bill once she's married. Personally, I would still cover medical insurance and tuition at community college, paying those directly. But a married adult needs to be prepared to take responsibility for themselves. I was a stubborn teenager, and I definitely did the opposite of what my parents said for a while. I would tread lightly. It is yes the a-hole to not acknowledge the engagement. She is feeling these feelings and you're basically saying she isn't, which is going to backfire. A bigger wake-up call for her would be to go all in on the process. Walk her through a wedding budget. Sit down with the entire family and discuss plans. When she turns 18 and gets married, she can't be on your health insurance anymore. Get her some brochures and do a budget for those things. Apartment hunt. Go to the scary, super low-income places that they would probably be able to afford while still in school. Let them know that you'll support them, but not financially. That might be far more effective than not acknowledging the engagement. Here's the thing. What you are doing isn't getting you results, so you need to change how you are approaching it. As someone who married their high school sweetheart at 18, I can tell you all you are doing is pushing her away and making sure you have no relationship with your daughter, future grandkids. In my case, we realized we couldn't afford a small wedding and just went to the courthouse. Even if you don't want to treat it as a real engagement, it is one, at least to them. My parents were like you and thought we were too young, and looking back, we were, and refused to treat it and my feelings like they were real. We married anyways, and I moved out the day I turned 18. I didn't speak to them for years, and they didn't see their grandchildren for years. His parents, however, treated us like the adults we wanted to be. While they didn't think it was okay, they knew they couldn't stop us and tried to guide us the best they could. I'll go to my in-laws with a problem before my parents. Is that something you want? I'm not going with you're the a-hole because I get where you are coming from, but you are handling this in the wrong way. No a-holes.